You know, we often believe that emotions like anger and sadness are simply inevitable responses to the world around us. Picture this. You're at work, and a colleague undermines your idea in front of the team. How do you feel? Betrayed, hurt, maybe even furious. It's a reflexive response that many would associate with being authentic. So what do most people do? They react. They externalize those feelings, thinking that venting to friends, posting their frustrations on social media, or holding a grudge is a form of open emotional expression. But here's what they don't realize. True emotional mastery doesn't come from the outside. It blooms from within. You've felt this struggle, haven't you? That underlying tension when someone dismisses what you hold dear. That flash of anger that can easily spiral into something much more significant if you let it. It's universal. Many of us experience these emotions as if they're part of an uncontrollable tide sweeping us toward chaos. But let me tell you, that perception is a trap. The moment you start to see your emotional state as something you can choose, rather than a reaction to the uncontrollable circumstances around you, everything changes. Imagine for a moment a serene lake, untouched by the storms of life. This is the state where awakened individuals reside. When everyone around them is tossed about by the turbulent waters of anger and sadness, these individuals remain anchored in the deeper waters of their consciousness. They have done the work to cultivate a garden of emotional resilience, thriving beneath the surface chaos that many can't even see. I once knew someone who faced betrayal and disappointment on a scale most would find unbearable. They lost a significant relationship, faced unfair judgment from peers, and encountered financial struggles that seemed insurmountable. Yet, amid this chaos, they didn't flinch. Instead of shouting about the injustice or drowning in sadness, they welcomed the emotions with understanding. They recognized that the waves crashing against them were not definitive truths about their worth or reality, but mere reflections of the ego's fight for control. Here's the thing. Emotions are often misinterpreted as indicators of our truths. Life may still throw its challenges your way. Trust me, that won't change, but the way you respond can shift dramatically. It's not because the external world alters, but because you reclaim your power. You cultivate an inner garden where peace flourishes, far beyond the reach of any circumstance. This is the wisdom that those who have reclaimed their emotional mastery understand deep in their hearts. Now, if this is resonating with you, if you're starting to see what I'm pointing at here, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button because we're going much deeper, and I want you in this conversation. And drop a comment below. Have you experienced this? I read every single one, so where were we? Right. The deeper truth here is that you might be wondering, how do I get there? How do I cultivate this inner strength? The first step is to develop awareness. You need to start noticing when and how your emotions arise and how you respond to them. Are these feelings genuinely guiding you or controlling you? Are you acting from a place of choice, or are you on autopilot, allowing old patterns to dictate your reactions? You see, many people walk through life unaware of these automatic responses, letting life's challenges control their happiness. And here's where it gets interesting. Once you become conscious of this pattern, you can start choosing your emotional responses intentionally. Understanding that your feelings are not inherently good or bad can be incredibly liberating. They're not masters of your fate. They're signposts guiding you along your journey. When sadness arises, it may indicate something you need to process. When anger flares up, it could point to boundaries that have been crossed. When you look at your emotions this way, you gain a newfound perspective, one that transforms your entire emotional landscape. So, lean into this awareness. Life presents endless opportunities to practice this new way of being. Perhaps you find yourself in a frustrating traffic jam. Instead of letting that surge of anger surface and cloud your thoughts, take a moment to breathe deeply. Recognize that you are in control of your feelings, not the circumstances. This simple act of mindfulness can anchor you, helping you feel centered, regardless of how chaotic your external world may seem. You're not merely a passive participant in your emotional experience. This is your life to shape. As we journey onward, keep in mind that each emotional wave is a chance for growth and understanding. This is the transformative power of emotional mastery. The question now is, are you ready to step into your emotional garden and begin tending to its growth? Now here's where it gets really interesting. If you're beginning to grasp the significance of this awareness, you might be wondering, what do I actually do with this understanding? Let me take you deeper into the essence of emotional mastery, because there's a layer to this that changes everything. You see, the true emotional mastery begins with recognizing that your emotions are a reaction to your beliefs and perceptions. Think about it this way. When a situation arises, like that colleague undermining your idea, what you feel in that moment is not just a reaction to their words or actions. It's a reaction rooted in the beliefs you hold about yourself, about worth, about validation. This is where the psychology of emotions gets complex. Have you ever paused long enough to consider what beliefs you hold that lead to certain emotional responses? Maybe you believe that your worth is tethered to recognition from others. When that recognition is undermined, the result is anger or betrayal. But what if you challenge that belief? What if you understood that your value isn't diminished by someone else's opinion? By practicing this reframing of beliefs, you begin to unravel the rope that ties your emotions to external validation. This brings us to the hidden costs of not recognizing this power. And it's significant. When you react unconsciously, when you let your emotions take the lead, you often create a toxic cycle. Anger and resentment can cloud your judgment, affecting decisions and relationships. You might lash out at others, perpetuating a cycle of negativity. Your emotional reactions can lead to stress-induced illness, strained relationships, and a sense of disconnection from your true self. Let me share a story. There was a woman I knew who was routinely passed over for promotions. Every time her efforts went unnoticed, she could feel the anger boiling within her. She vented to her friends, sought validation from loved ones, and even posted her grievances online. Yet despite seeking support, she felt increasingly isolated and frustrated. One day, a mentor pointed out that her emotional responses were rooted in her belief that success equated to acknowledgement from others. This realization was a revelation for her. She started questioning those beliefs. Instead of remaining trapped in her anger, she redirected that energy into self-improvement and internal validation. The next time someone overlooked her efforts, she responded with grace, focusing on her journey rather than their actions. And do you know what happened? Opportunities opened up for her in surprising ways. She transformed her experience by taking ownership of her emotional world. But here's what's really going on beneath the surface. When we resist our emotions, thinking they are the enemy, or allow them to rule us without understanding, we let the ego run the show. The moment we recognize them as tools, a way to explore our inner landscapes, we empower ourselves. It's about shifting the perspective that emotions are signs of weakness or evidence of something broken within us. Emotions are our guides, revealing deeper truths about our beliefs and the stories we tell ourselves. And now the beautiful irony: the more you cultivate this inner mastery, the more clarity you gain. You'll start to notice how fleeting moments of irritation or sadness lose their sting. Maybe you observe frustration creeping in during a difficult conversation at home. Instead of allowing that feeling to dominate your evening, you pause and reflect. What belief is being triggered here, you ask yourself? Is it a fear of not being heard, of being misunderstood? This practice not only unfolds your emotional landscape, but also nurtures deeper connections with others. But let's not sugarcoat it. The road to emotional mastery isn't always smooth. Old patterns may resurface, and you might find yourself momentarily slipping back into automatic responses. And yes, people will judge you, question your motives, or even resent the change they see in you. That's the truth. Any journey of transformation will often meet resistance, both internally and externally. The key, however, is recognizing that these stumbles are not failures. They are moments to learn, moments to remind yourself of your commitment to emotional independence. Here's the thing: the more you practice this, the more you realize that your feelings don't define you. This understanding leads you toward emotional liberation, enabling you to chart your own course. Each day provides opportunities to cultivate resilience. Instead of expressing outward annoyance over a busy day, you take time for mindful breathing. You create a space of stillness amidst the rush. You start to trust that even when moments get chaotic, you have the capacity to navigate through them with awareness and intention. As you lean into this practice, you'll likely find that your interactions with others shift dramatically. Relationships that once carried the burden of blame and defensiveness may evolve into exchanges marked by empathy and understanding. Your emotional growth becomes a beacon for others, often illuminating their paths and inspiring them to explore their own emotional landscapes. You're not just transforming your own experience, you're creating a ripple effect, allowing others around you the freedom to choose rather than react. Imagine the depth of connection you can foster when everyone involved is anchored in emotional mastery. Conversations become deeper, more meaningful, and less charged with unresolved issues. You can navigate conflicts with grace and offer compassion instead of defensiveness. This is the power of emotional mastery. It's not just about surviving the storm, but learning to dance gracefully through it. So let this be your invitation, a call to explore this new way of navigating emotions. Embrace the power of awareness as your guiding light, and remember, emotional mastery is not a destination, it's a lifelong practice. With every step forward, you're reclaiming your power. And as you do, you begin to enter a world where you're more than just a passive participant. You are the master of your own emotional garden. Isn't it time you stepped into that truth? But here's what changes everything, and this is the shift that will save you if you can truly make it. When you fully comprehend that your emotional landscape can be reshaped, you begin to see the world with an undeniable clarity. Everything you've experienced transforms in this light. You're no longer at the mercy of emotional responses. Instead, you cultivate a profound awareness where you can navigate the waters of life with grace and ease. So, what does happen when you really see this? You embrace the power of your feelings and recognize that they are not immutable forces. They're reflections of your beliefs, thoughts, and choices. It's like standing on the shore and watching the waves come crashing in. You can choose to let the waves toss you around, or you can learn how to surf, gliding smoothly over the surface with intention and control. When you shift your perspective, you stop viewing feelings as obstacles. Instead, you begin to understand them as gateways to understanding yourself at a deeper level. Let's dig into some practical wisdom, because this is where the real mastery comes into play. So here's what you do. Start establishing a practice of reflection. Carve out sacred time each day to check in with yourself. What am I feeling right now? What is this feeling trying to tell me? You may find it helpful to keep a journal. Writing can be a powerful outlet for your thoughts and feelings, making it easier to explore the roots of what's occurring within you. As you embark on this reflective journey, you'll begin to unravel the layers of emotional responses that may have been automatic for years. Embrace the inquiry and challenge yourself to dig beyond the surface. Why did this situation provoke such a strong emotional response? Delve into the why behind your feelings. Maybe you identify a belief about yourself that needs to be re-examined. This is where breakthroughs often happen, right in that challenging space between your current emotional response and your learned beliefs. Now, let me remind you about the obstacles you might encounter along the way. As you embark on this transformative path, you may feel resistance or discomfort. Some of these emotions could resurface, inviting you back to familiar patterns. It's essential to recognize this and not judge yourself for it. Remember, change is a process, not a leap to perfection. The narrative of who you are does not rewrite itself overnight. You might find that moments arise when frustration bubbles up, or sadness weighs heavily on you. Instead of succumbing to the immediate impulse of expressing those feelings outwardly, take a moment to redirect that energy inward. This doesn't mean to suppress what you feel. Instead, you pause to observe what's going on inside. Ask yourself meaningful questions. What deeper belief is being triggered in me? Is this response serving my growth? By examining these underlying beliefs, you gain crucial insights into your emotional state and start reshaping your relationship with feelings altogether. Let's take that traffic jam example once more. Instead of allowing frustration to eclipse your day, ask yourself what this moment reveals about your expectations. You may discover that this irritation stems from a desire for control, an illusion that you can dictate every moment of your life. Recognizing this brings a sense of liberation. Now you're no longer a victim of circumstance. Instead, you're someone who's able to reclaim authority over your emotional responses. As you consciously practice this emotional mastery, you begin to notice profound shifts in your life. Relationships that used to trigger anger or defensiveness may eventually transform into exchanges filled with compassion, empathy, and understanding. You'll find yourself responding differently to conflict, embodying a newfound sense of peace that ripples outward. People around you will take notice, and they may feel inspired to explore their emotional landscapes too. And here's the paradoxical truth. The more you cultivate your emotional competence, the more you empower those around you. When you step into your power, it allows others to do the same. Your journey becomes a beacon of hope, illuminating pathways for your friends, family, or colleagues who may feel lost in their emotions. You embody the essence of choice instead of reaction, and this empowering stance invites others to engage in the same insightful process. As we bring this concept together, see how it all connects. Acknowledge how self-awareness, reflection, and curiosity weave together to form your emotional tapestry. You see, this journey is not merely a set of steps. It's about shifting who you are at your core. With each conscious choice, you begin to integrate emotional intelligence into your everyday life, creating a harmonious space within. So, why does this all matter? Because you're not merely responding to the external world anymore. You're engaging with it from a place of authenticity and strength. You're not just surviving the currents. You're dancing fluidly through the waters of existence, enhancing your life experience at every turn. The depth of connection you create with others will flourish, growing from a place of understanding rather than fear. As you continue to nurture your emotional garden, remember to be compassionate with yourself. This is a lifelong process, a beautifully evolving practice of self-discovery. Each step forward is a chance to affirm your own journey. Embrace the journey and give yourself permission to be both human and infinitely vast in your emotional experience. So let me invite you again. Step into your power, cultivate emotional mastery, and flow with life rather than being swept away by it. You are the master of your own emotional garden. The invitation is always open. It's time to step into that truth and let the transformation unfold. So let me bring this full circle. Remember when I said at the beginning that cultivating emotional mastery is not simply about reaction, but rather it's about awakening to a new way of being. The journey we've explored together is not just a theoretical exercise, it's a profound opportunity for transformation that has the potential to shift your entire life narrative. You're not merely gaining a toolkit for emotional responses, you're reclaiming your power, redefining the very essence of who you are. You see, understanding this emotional landscape allows you to navigate your relationships with ease and clarity. Consider the moments where you felt misunderstood or judged. By learning to embody your emotional mastery, you free yourself from the chains of those past experiences. You invite in a space of compassion, not just for others but for yourself as well. When you make mistakes or stumble, you're learning to embrace those moments as essential parts of your growth rather than setbacks. Here's what I want you to understand. You are allowed to be authentically you. You don't have to hide your feelings or alter them to fit someone else's narrative. Your individuality, your unique emotional responses are valid. They're what make you beautifully human. Each person's emotional journey is distinct. Through the lens of mastery, each feeling, whether joy, sorrow, anger, or love, contributes to the richness of your life experience. Give yourself permission to move through these emotions without judgment. And let's reframe the original problem. Why do we so often find ourselves trapped in emotional cycles? Why do we cling to old narratives of pain and disappointment? It's because for many that's all they've ever known. It feels familiar, comfortable even, despite the suffering it causes. But now you have the chance to choose differently. The courage to rewrite your emotional scripts is yours. Let me share a closing story that encapsulates this journey. A man once stood before a river, watching the water flow swiftly past him. He felt burdened by unresolved anger toward a friend who had betrayed him. For years, he held on to that anger, allowing it to shape his reality and poison his relationships. One day, he decided to take a walk along that riverbank. As he walked, he began to release the anger with each step. He visualized it being carried away by the current. As he surrendered his emotions, he felt lighter, less trapped by the past. In that moment, he realized that it wasn't the betrayal that defined him, but how he chose to respond to it. By releasing the hold that anger had over him, he reclaimed his joy and allowed room for deeper connections to flourish. This is the power of emotional liberation. It's not about denying the hurt, but about acknowledging it, learning from it, and ultimately setting yourself free. The river has a continual flow. Just like your emotions, it doesn't stop or cling to the past. It moves forward, carving new paths around obstacles, shaping its course with grace and determination. As you step out into the world, carry this newfound awareness with you. Each interaction becomes an opportunity for growth. When you encounter moments of tension or conflict, remember that you are not an isolated island. You're part of a vast emotional landscape that connects with others. And in that interconnectedness lies a powerful opportunity to share your journey and inspire those around you. So, I invite you to take this wisdom with you. Embrace your emotional mastery as a lifelong companion. Allow yourself the freedom to feel deeply, to navigate the complexities of your inner world with courage and integrity. Each time you allow yourself to experience emotions without fear, you are engaging in a dance of authenticity, an expression of who you truly are. As we conclude this conversation, I want to leave you with a gentle call to consciousness. Reflect on the journey of emotional mastery you've embarked upon. Will you open the door to your own sacred space? Will you commit to nurturing your emotional garden? Will you step into your power, holding your truth with grace and love? The choice is yours. The invitation remains ever present, and I have faith that you will step forward into this new chapter. Remember, the real work of emotional mastery begins with you. You are the master of your emotional garden, and now it's time to cultivate something beautiful. As you walk this path, let your journey resonate with authenticity, empathy, and a steadfast belief in your capacity to navigate life with intention. This is just the beginning, and I can't wait to see how you continue to grow. So take that step out into the world. Embrace your emotions, honor your truth, and let your journey inspire not just yourself, but everyone you encounter along the way. Your transformation is a beacon of hope, and it starts right now.